Presence over performance isn't about how much space you take up in a room. It's about the quality of the space you create when you're in it. Too often, people believe they need to impress others by doing more, talking more, or showing more, or showing more. But true attraction, the kind that makes people lean in without even knowing why, starts when you shift from a "how can I be noticed" to "how can I be here, fully, right now?" Being present means you're not rehearsing your next sentence while someone else is speaking. You're not scanning the room for someone more interesting to talk to. You're not mentally calculating how this moment benefits you. Instead, your focus is anchored on the person or the experience in front of you. That level of attention is rare, and because it's rare, it's magnetic. When someone is truly present, they stop broadcasting an agenda. People feel safe around them because there's no hidden performance happening. You're not trying to sell an image. You're not seeking applause. Your energy tells others, "I'm here because I want to be here, because I want to be here." That authenticity draws people closer in a way no polished pitch ever could. This doesn't mean you disappear into the background. Presence can be powerful and commanding, but not because it's loud. It's because it's grounded. When you're present, you're not chasing validation. You're embodying a quiet confidence that says, "I am enough as I am in this moment." That stability is something people can feel even before they consciously recognize it. Presence over performance also means you stop competing with the noise of the world. Instead of trying to outshine it, you invite others into a calmer, clearer space. You give conversations more depth. You notice details others miss. The shift in someone's tone, the hesitation in their words, the spark in their eyes when they talk about something they love. Those small recognitions make you unforgettable. In relationships, whether professional or personal, presence builds trust faster than performance ever will. Performance may win attention for a moment, but presence creates connection that lasts. People remember how you made them feel, and feeling genuinely seen is a rare gift. There's also an unspoken respect that presence communicates. It says, "I value this moment enough to give it my full attention." That message doesn't need to be verbalized. It's felt. And because it's felt, it bypasses the shallow layers of small talk and touches something far deeper. Presence over performance is a habit, not a switch you flip. It's practiced in the way you listen without interrupting, the way you make eye contact without rushing it, the way you allow pauses without trying to fill them. It's a discipline that tells the world you're not here to entertain. You're here to connect. Confidence without arrogance is the art of knowing your value without needing to announce it. It's the quiet assurance that you belong in the room, not because you have to prove it, but because you've already accepted it within yourself. Arrogance demands recognition. Confidence is content whether recognition comes or not. That difference is why one repels, and the other attracts, and the other attracts. True confidence begins with self-awareness. You understand your strengths and your limitations, and you're comfortable with both. You don't need to exaggerate your abilities to feel worthy, nor do you crumble when faced with challenges. This balance creates a grounded presence that others trust because it's real, not manufactured. When you carry confidence without arrogance, you give others space to shine. You're not threatened by someone else's success or intimidated by their knowledge. Whoa. Instead, you can celebrate it because your sense of worth isn't built on comparison. People sense this freedom in you, and it allows them to relax in your presence. It also changes how you speak. Arrogance talks to dominate. Confidence talks to contribute. You share your perspective without dismissing others. You can be certain in your words while remaining open to being wrong. That openness doesn't weaken your position. It strengthens it, because it shows that your security isn't tied to always being right. Confidence without arrogance is felt more than it is seen. It's in the way you walk into a room without scanning for approval. It's in the way you answer questions without rushing or over-explaining. It's in the way you let your actions carry the weight of your character instead of relying solely on declarations. This kind of confidence also removes the need for constant validation. You're not fishing for compliments or orchestrating situations to be admired. Instead, your self-worth acts like a steady heartbeat, always there, consistent, unshaken by temporary highs or lows. That steadiness draws people in because stability is rare in a world built on performance. Even in disagreement, confidence without arrogance stands apart. You can hold your position firmly without making others feel small for holding theirs. You listen, You consider, and you respond with clarity rather than aggression. It's not about winning every exchange. It's about respecting yourself and others in equal measure. Ultimately, confidence without arrogance gives people a sense of safety. They know you won't use your strengths to belittle or overshadow them. Instead, you use them to uplift, to lead by example, and to encourage growth in the people around you. That's why it's quietly magnetic. It empowers without intimidating. Listening like it matters is more than hearing the words someone says. It's tuning into the emotions, the pauses, and the meaning beneath those words. It's about being fully present so the other person feels they are not just speaking into the air, but into a space where they matter. Most people listen to reply. Very few listen to understand. That's why when you truly listen, it stands out. When you listen like it matters, you remove distractions. You put the phone down, turn your body toward the person, and give your eyes and attention fully to them. That simple act tells them, without saying a word, right now, you are my priority. In a world addicted to multitasking, that undivided attention is rare and deeply valued. It's also about listening between the lines. People often say less than they feel. When you're truly listening, you pick up on those subtle cues, the hesitation before they answer, the shift in their tone, the way their gaze drops for just a second. These small details tell you what's really going on. Listening, like it matters, builds trust faster than almost anything else. When someone feels heard without judgment or interruption, they begin to open up. They share more honestly because they know you're not rushing to insert your own story or opinion. That sense of being heard can be more healing than any advice you could offer. This kind of listening also means you resist the urge to fix everything. Sometimes people don't want solutions. They want understanding. They want someone who can sit with them in their joy or in their pain without trying to rewrite the moment. When you give them that space, you show that their feelings are valid exactly as they are. It changes the way conversations flow. Instead of bouncing back and forth with surface-level exchanges, you go deeper. You ask thoughtful questions, not because you're following a script, but because you're genuinely curious. That curiosity encourages others to share parts of themselves they rarely reveal. Listening like it matters also strengthens every kind of relationship. Personal, professional, and casual. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel seen and heard. It's not about agreeing with everything they say. It's about showing that what they say matters enough to you to be fully received. The beauty of listening like it matters is that it lingers. Long after the conversation ends, the person remembers how you made them feel in that moment, respected, valued, and understood. It's a kind of quiet influence that draws people back to you, not because of what you said, but because of how you listened. Consistent self-respect is the steady commitment to honoring your own worth in every situation, not just when it's convenient. It's the difference between knowing your value in theory and living it out in practice. Many people respect themselves when life is easy, but true self-respect shows when you face pressure, temptation, or the risk of disappointing others. When you practice consistent self-respect, you set boundaries and keep them. You don't make exceptions for people who repeatedly cross them, no matter how much you care for them. You understand that boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're guidelines for how you allow yourself to be treated. That clarity protects your peace and teaches others how to value you. It also means not negotiating your core values for short-term approval. You don't compromise who you are just to fit in, and you don't stay silent about what matters to you just to keep the peace. Your integrity remains intact because you know the cost of betraying yourself is higher than the cost of losing someone's temporary favor. Consistent self-respect is reflected in how you speak to yourself. You don't tear yourself down in your own mind or diminish your accomplishments to appear humble. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you, and by keeping your inner dialogue respectful, you create a standard that extends outward. It also appears in the choices you make for your well-being. You take care of your health, your time, and your energy, not out of vanity or selfishness, but because you understand they are resources that allow you to show up fully in life. Neglecting yourself to please others eventually leads to resentment, and consistent self-respect prevents that cycle. In difficult situations, self-respect guides your response. You don't allow anger or insecurity to push you into actions that diminish your character. Even when you walk away from something or someone, You do it without pettiness, because you understand that protecting your dignity matters more than winning an argument. Consistent self-respect also means you recognize your limits and honor them without guilt. You don't overextend yourself just to appear capable, and you don't chase every opportunity at the expense of your mental or emotional health. You know that saying a no is not a rejection of others, it's an affirmation of your priorities. The more consistently you respect yourself, the more naturally it shapes the environment around you. People either rise to meet your standard or remove themselves, and both outcomes serve you. By staying true to that standard every day, you create a life where your worth is not negotiable, and where you never have to trade your self-respect for acceptance. Curiosity about others is the genuine desire to understand people beyond the surface. It's not about collecting facts for small talk. It's about wanting to know what shapes them, what excites them, what challenges them. When your interest is real, people can feel it, and they respond by revealing parts of themselves they don't share with just anyone. Just anyone. This kind of curiosity starts with asking better questions. Instead of sticking to safe, predictable topics, you explore what matters to them. You might ask how they came to love, what they do, what they're currently learning, or what's been on their mind lately. The goal isn't to interrogate, but to open a door that invites them to share their world with you. Being curious also means being patient. Not everyone is ready to open up right away. You give them space to reveal themselves at their own pace without pushing for more than they're comfortable giving. Over time, your consistent interest builds trust, and that trust allows for deeper, more authentic conversations. Curiosity about others works best when it's free of judgment. If you approach someone's story with a preconceived opinion, they'll sense it and hold back. But when you listen without trying to correct, critique, or compete, they feel safe to be honest. That non-judgmental space is where real connection happens. It also requires paying attention to the details people share, even the small ones. Remembering that someone prefers tea over coffee, or that they're working on a personal project, shows them you're not just hearing their words, you're valuing them enough to keep those details in mind. Those small acts of remembering turn casual interest into meaningful rapport. Curiosity about others expands your own perspective. Every person carries experiences, beliefs, and insights you haven't lived yourself. By exploring their stories, you stretch your understanding of the world and challenge your own assumptions. This exchange of perspectives makes your interactions richer and your relationships stronger. In professional settings, this curiosity builds influence. People are more inclined to collaborate with and support those who show genuine interest in them as individuals, not just as roles or functions. The same is true in personal life. Your relationships thrive when both sides feel seen for who they are, not just for what they provide. The most magnetic part of being curious about others is that it makes people feel valued without you having to say it outright. Your attention, your thoughtful questions, and your genuine engagement send the message that their story matters. Their story matters. And for most people, feeling that they matter is one of the most attractive experiences they can have. Grace under pressure is the ability to remain composed when the situation around you is anything but calm. It's not about pretending everything is fine or ignoring the weight of the moment. It's about meeting difficulty with steadiness that reassures both yourself and those around you. That steadiness becomes a quiet form of leadership, even when you're not in charge. When pressure rises, many people either panic or push aggressively, but grace chooses a different path. It slows the pace, allowing space for clear thinking. Instead of reacting impulsively, you take a breath, observe, and respond with intention. That deliberate approach prevents mistakes that often come from rushing in fear or frustration. Grace under pressure shows in your tone as much as in your actions. You keep your voice level, your words measured, and your body language open. Even when you feel the tension inside, you resist letting it spill over onto others. This creates an environment where people can focus on solutions rather than feeding off escalating stress. It also means treating others with respect, even when circumstances are difficult. Pressure can make people irritable, defensive, or short-tempered, but grace refuses to use that as an excuse to be unkind. By keeping empathy intact under strain, you preserve relationships and avoid unnecessary damage. This kind of grace is often built long before the crisis arrives. It comes from developing resilience, practicing patience, and knowing your own triggers. When you've trained yourself to stay grounded in smaller challenges, you're better equipped to handle bigger ones without losing your center. Grace under pressure doesn't mean you suppress emotions. It means you manage them. You can acknowledge fear, frustration, or disappointment without letting them control your behavior. This emotional discipline allows you to act from clarity rather than chaos, and people naturally trust those who can maintain that kind of stability. In group situations, your composure can become contagious. When others see you staying calm, it gives them permission to steady themselves as well. This ripple effect can shift the entire mood of a room, making it easier for everyone to think clearly and work together toward a solution. The lasting impression of grace under pressure is not just that you handled the challenge, but that you did so without losing your integrity. People remember not only that you succeeded, but also how you carried yourself while doing it. And that memory often outshines the details of the crisis itself. Authenticity over approval is the choice to live in alignment with who you truly are, even when it risks disappointing others. It's resisting the temptation to mold yourself into whatever will earn the quickest acceptance. Approval can be fleeting, but authenticity builds a life that feels like your own, not a performance for someone else's comfort. Choosing authenticity means speaking your truth, even when silence would keep you liked. It's being willing to express your real thoughts, values, and feelings without diluting them to fit in. This doesn't mean being harsh or dismissive. It means honoring your voice without disguising it for the sake of being agreeable. When you value authenticity over approval, you stop chasing the moving target of other people's expectations. You understand that no matter how hard you try, you will never be universally liked. That realization is freeing because it allows you to invest your energy in being real instead of being popular. This way of living also filters the relationships in your life. When you show up as your true self, the people who remain are those who value you for who you are, not for the version of you that bends to please them. Those relationships tend to be deeper, more trusting, and more resilient because they're built on honesty. Authenticity over approval requires self-awareness. You have to know your own beliefs, desires, and limits before you can stand by them. Without that clarity, it's easy to drift into performing for validation without realizing it. Knowing yourself well makes it easier to recognize when you're compromising who you are for acceptance. It also demands courage because authenticity sometimes comes with criticism or rejection. Not everyone will understand or agree with your choices, and some will distance themselves because of them. But standing firm in your truth communicates self-respect, and that quiet confidence often draws the right people closer. Choosing authenticity doesn't mean you ignore feedback or refuse to grow. It means you filter advice through the lens of your values, keeping what aligns and letting go of what doesn't. Growth that stays true to yourself is more sustainable than growth that tries to please everyone. Living with authenticity over approval creates a sense of peace that approval alone can't give. You don't have to constantly monitor your image or remember which version of yourself you showed to whom. You carry the relief of knowing that wherever you go, and with whomever you speak, you're showing up as the same person every time. Positive energy discipline is the intentional practice of choosing your outlook and actions, even when circumstances tempt you toward negativity. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about directing your energy in a way that strengthens you and the people around you. This kind of discipline makes positivity a habit, not just a mood. When you approach life with positive energy discipline, you take responsibility for the atmosphere you bring into a room. You understand that your words, expressions, and tone influence others, and you choose to make that influence uplifting rather than draining. That choice doesn't always come naturally, which is why it's a discipline, something you train, refine, and protect. It also means noticing your triggers and learning how to respond to them with intention. Instead of snapping in frustration or spiraling into pessimism, you pause, breathe, and redirect your focus toward what can be done. Over time, this pause becomes second nature, allowing you to stay steady even when things don't go as planned. Positive energy discipline is not blind optimism. It's a conscious decision to acknowledge reality while still looking for possibilities. It means accepting setbacks without letting them define your entire perspective. This balance between realism and hope is what makes your positivity believable and contagious. The discipline extends to the company you keep and the content you consume. You choose environments, conversations, and influences that nourish your mindset rather than deplete it. Protecting your energy in this way allows you to show up more consistently as the kind of person who inspires rather than drains. In relationships, this habit builds trust. People know they can count on you to be a source of encouragement without dismissing their struggles. Your steadiness helps others feel safe enough to share openly because they know you won't meet their vulnerability with cynicism or complaint. Practicing positive energy discipline also changes the way you talk to yourself. You replace self-defeating language with words that motivate and empower you. This internal shift shapes the way you carry yourself externally, influencing how others perceive and respond to you. Over time, this discipline turns into a quiet strength. It allows you to walk into uncertainty without being consumed by fear, to lead others without resorting to pressure, and to face challenges without losing hope. It becomes less about forcing yourself to be positive and more about living in a way that naturally generates it.